My teacher held up a printed screenshot and said, "Who sent this?" The room went quiet in that way that feels loud. You could hear the ceiling fan clicking, the faint squeak of someone's shoe on the floor. I stared at the paper and my stomach dropped. My name was right there, in black ink, in the middle of a rumor I didn't start. And the worst part, my best friend was sitting 2 rows away, staring straight ahead like I didn't exist. I knew in that moment that I was about to lose everything I cared about at school. What happened next didn't just clear my name, it changed how I see people. But it also cost me a friendship I thought would last forever. If you've ever been in high school, you know the feeling. You walk through the hallway like you're trying to look normal, but inside you're doing math the whole time. Who smiled at me? Who didn't? Who looked away too fast? Our school had those long hallways with lockers that slammed shut like tiny explosions. The cafeteria always smelled like fries and something sweet, like someone had dropped syrup and it never truly left. And we had group chats for everything: homework, memes, weekend plans. The group chat was basically our real school. I wasn't popular, I wasn't invisible either. I was the safe person. The one teachers liked, the one people came to for notes, the one who didn't get into drama. At least that's what I thought. And then there was her, my best friend. Let's call her Maya. Maya was the kind of person who could walk into a room and change the temperature. Not in a loud way, more like she had gravity. People wanted to sit near her. People wanted her approval. And she chose me. So yeah, I protected that friendship like it was glass. It started on a Tuesday, the kind of Tuesday that feels completely ordinary until you replay it later like a movie. Second period ended. We were packing up. I remember the chalk dust on the teacher's hands. I remember the bell sounding a little too sharp. My phone buzzed. One message, then another. Then my screen lit up like a warning sign. In the group chat, someone posted a screenshot. It was a message that looked like it came from me. It said something mean about Maya, something petty and ugly, like I had been secretly making fun of her. And below it, someone typed, "Wow, I can't believe this." Then, "Are you serious?" Then, the worst one, "So you're fake." I stared at my phone, waiting for my brain to catch up. Like maybe if I blinked enough times, the words would rearrange into something that made sense. But they didn't, because it was my name, my profile picture, my voice in text, except I never wrote it. I texted Maya immediately. "Hey, that's not me. I didn't send that." No response. I sent another message. "I swear on everything I didn't." No response. By lunch, the cafeteria felt louder than usual. Trays clattered, people laughed too hard, someone yelled across the room. I walked to our usual table and slowed down because I could already feel it. The way a group's shape changes when you're not welcome. Maya was there, our friends were there, and there was one empty spot that had always been mine. I stood there for a second too long, holding my tray like it weighed 100 pounds. Maya didn't look up, not once. So I turned and sat alone. I remember the plastic chair sticking to the back of my legs. I remember chewing food that tasted like cardboard. I remember pretending I was checking my phone, when really I was watching everyone in my peripheral vision. That day, I learned something about high school. Rumors don't spread like fire, they spread like permission. By the end of the day, it wasn't just the group chat. Someone reposted the screenshot on their story with a caption like, "Some people are not who you think." No name, no direct call out, but everyone knew. The next morning, I opened my locker and found a sticky note inside. Just 2 words, written fast like the writer didn't want to be seen. "Nice try." I held it between my fingers and stared at it. My face felt hot. Not because I was guilty, because I was helpless. That's the part people don't talk about. When you're falsely accused, you don't just feel angry. You feel trapped inside a version of yourself that you can't control. And every time you try to explain, you sound more desperate. and desperation makes people believe you even less. So I did what a lot of people do when they're scared. I tried to fix it the normal way. I kept texting. I kept saying I didn't do it. I kept sending paragraphs that sounded reasonable in my head. But all it did was make me look like I had something to hide. 2 days later, it happened. The moment from the beginning. English class. The air felt dry, like the heater was on even though it wasn't cold. Someone in the back was tapping their pen against the desk, steady like a timer. My teacher walked in holding papers. At first, I thought it was a quiz. Then she said my name. Not in a warm way, in a careful way. She held up the printed screenshot and said, "Who sent this?" The room froze. I could feel everyone looking at me, but nobody wanted to make eye contact. That's always how it is. People look at you like you're a car crash, but they don't want you to catch them watching. My teacher wasn't trying to ruin me, I know that now. She thought she was stopping drama. But when you're 16, being called out in front of the class doesn't feel like a lesson. It feels like public execution. I opened my mouth, and nothing came out. Because what do you say when the proof is right there? And then, I did something I'd never done before. I stopped trying to convince them with emotion. I stopped trying to sound innocent. Instead, I asked a question, a simple one. I raised my hand, and my voice didn't even sound like mine when I spoke. "Can we scroll up?" My teacher blinked. "Scroll up?" I nodded. Not a screenshot, the full thread. A few people shifted in their seats like they were suddenly uncomfortable. Because a screenshot is easy. A screenshot can be cropped, edited, reposted without context. But a full thread, a real message chain, that's harder to fake. I kept my voice calm, even though my hands were sweating. Whoever has the original message, can they show the whole conversation with the timestamps? The room didn't feel frozen anymore. It felt sharp, like everyone was awake. And that's when I noticed something that made my stomach flip for a different reason. Maya finally looked at me, but her face didn't look angry. She looked confused. A girl in our class slowly raised her phone. Let's call her Tessa. Tessa wasn't popular, she wasn't mean. She was the kind of person who stayed quiet and observed everything, like she was collecting details later. Tessa said, I have it. And then she hesitated. You could tell she didn't want to be involved. Nobody wants to be involved. But she still stood up. She walked to the front of the room and handed it to her teacher. My teacher scrolled. The room leaned in like one organism, and as she scrolled up, something became obvious. The screenshot everyone had been sharing didn't match. The font was slightly different. The bubble color was off. The timestamp was missing. It wasn't just taken out of context. It was altered. My teacher looked up. This is not the original. And suddenly, people started talking at the same time. What? No way. So it's fake? Maya's face went pale. She whispered, I thought... And I could see it right there on her face. She wasn't just angry at me. She was embarrassed because she had believed it. She had helped spread it, at least by staying silent. Then my teacher asked the question that ended everything. Who made this version? Silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. And then a voice came from the side. A boy named Evan. He wasn't one of my friends. We barely talked. He said quietly, I know who did it. Everybody turned. Evan looked at Maya first, then looked down like he didn't want to hurt her. Then he said, it was someone who didn't want you two to be friends anymore. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about me being fake. It wasn't even about Maya. It was about control. Someone saw a friendship and decided they could rewrite it. And the worst part? When the person finally got called out later that day, they didn't look like a villain. They looked like a scared kid. A kid who felt left out. A kid who thought they were losing their place. They admitted it with tears in their eyes, saying something like, I didn't think it would go that far. But it did. It always does. By the next week, the rumor died.
Not because everyone suddenly became wise and mature, but because people got bored. That's another ugly truth about high school. Your pain can be someone else's entertainment until the next thing comes along. Some people apologized. Not dramatic apologies, more like, hey, sorry about that. A few people avoided me like guilt made them uncomfortable. And Maya, she did talk to me. She stood next to me by the lockers after school, twisting the strap of her backpack like she didn't know what to do with her hands. She said, I didn't know what to think. And I wanted to shout. I wanted to say, you should have known me. But I didn't, because I realized something. Maya wasn't the only one being tested. I was being tested too. Could I forgive her? Could I stop begging to be understood?
Could I accept that some people are strong in easy moments and weak in hard ones? So I said, it hurt. A lot. She nodded, eyes glossy, and then she said, I'm sorry. We weren't the same after that. We stayed friendly, we were polite, we could laugh again, sometimes. But that version of best friends forever was gone. And here's the second payoff, the part that matters more. That day showed me my real people. Not the loud ones, not the ones who posted supportive captions. The real ones were small. Like Tessa, quietly standing up when it was uncomfortable. Like Evan, risking social backlash to say the truth. Like one girl I barely knew who sat with me at lunch the next day and said, I don't think you did it. That was it. No speech, just one sentence. And somehow, that sentence felt heavier than every rumor. If you're in school right now, here's what I wish someone told me back then. A screenshot can lie, but your character shows up over time, and the people worth keeping will notice the difference. Next time, I'll tell you about the kindest person I ignored for an entire year, and the moment I realized it. If you want more true school stories like this, stick around.